All right. Good morning, YouTube. Looks like we're live. So hope everybody had a good weekend. Give us a minute to warm up, get some people in the room. We are a little bit ahead of schedule. We're going to have to drop out a little bit ahead of schedule too, so it'll all work out in the end. But I hope everybody's had a good weekend. Here's a snapshot of the weather outside right this second. Hope everybody is doing good. We got that rain in the Midwest. Looks like the East Coast is finally drying out a little bit. We got a host of things lined up. Most of it not in the U.S., except for the good news. Yeah, it looks like it's mostly overseas stuff, except for the good news, which is good, I guess. But there's lots of other stuff, obviously, we could talk about. But what I pulled up, that's kind of where we're going to go. Hey, Backwoods Law is with us. Good morning. How you doing? M Long, 5151. Did you ever dry out yet, M Long? Wes S is with us. So we must be up real early if Wes S is here. That's crazy. All right. We'll get into it then. We got some people checking in the side chat. But that weather coming across the U.S., that's still hot and dry out here. Initial check-in outside, the smoke is not too terrible. Last night, you could see the smoke to the south, like just billowing. Surprised it didn't settle into the valleys last night, so I guess we got lucky. But that's our status. It doesn't sound like they have those forest fires anywhere near under control. And without any rain coming in, it's not going to look good for a while. I guess heard that they have shut down Yosemite completely. They had it opened up. The park, you can still come in from the eastern side of the park and whatnot, but I guess it is completely closed now till further notice. So if you had planned to go to Yosemite, what's remaining of the summer, you might be out of luck. But first thing in, we've got large earthquake yesterday in Indonesia, killing 82 yesterday. I guess they had another one a week prior. But this was a 6.9, and this got the video here. We'll start off with this.
A powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck Indonesia Sunday, killing dozens of people. The earthquake struck the island of Lombok, a popular tourist spot, just a week after another deadly quake. The quake damaged homes and other buildings in Lombok and nearby Bali. Although a tsunami warning was issued initially, it was lifted as soon as it became clear a tsunami wasn't a threat. Indonesia is prone to earthquakes due to its location on the Ring of Fire, which is an arc of volcanoes and fault lines encircling the Pacific Ocean. Just last week, a 6.4 magnitude earthquake struck Lombok Island, killing 16 people and injuring more than 150.
All right. So that's what happened there. If you didn't hear about it, just another example of a natural disaster going wrong. I'm sure there'll be more to follow on that. Usually in the cleanup, that number will go up on the number killed and whatnot. And it goes back to your preparedness. You have one disaster hit, you think you're good, give it time to recover, and bam, you get hit with something else right after. Doesn't get much time to recoup. Disaster on top of disaster, potentially. Hey, Smoking Los has joined us. Good morning. Backwoods Law wants to know who's running the furnace. Well, it's not me. We're doing all right. We actually are only going to be in the low 90s, so we're not too terrible out this way. yesterday was tolerable enough to be out and be in the middle of the day doing stuff without dying. So that was good. So let's go to our favorite company. Yeah, I guess you could say it like that. Our favorite country in the middle of a collapse, Venezuela. Oh, suspected assassination attempt on the president there. I guess it was Friday. But they suspected drones were used in the attack. There was another story. I guess initial report was a fire in a nearby warehouse started by natural gas or something. So you can imagine the news out of Venezuela is not exactly reliable. Right off the bat, Maduro went after Colombia as the instigators. The U.S. disavowed any connection because the insinuation is that U.S. is helping Colombia in this proposition. But they've captured 6 of what they call hired killers, accused of the assassination, as if things weren't unstable enough. If this is a military-led assassination, you can imagine that's going to cause more destabilization, because we know we have the military leading a lot of the distribution of the goods and water and stuff, and a lot of corruption going on that end. Yeah. So he pointed the finger at the Colombian president, Juan Manuel Santos, who he considers ultra right-wing, and also who he considers to be the opposition in Venezuela as well. So Maduro stated there will be no forgiveness for an act of barbarism in a desperate attempt to destabilize the government, their quotes. So the opposition party, at least politically, Nikimer Evans, said he feared the government measures open the door to persecution and a wave of repression. Yeah, that's probably true. That's a high likelihood, I would think, considering the situation. Gives the government a good excuse to crack down on anybody speaking out against any of the issues or the government. So convenient. So the attack itself allegedly involved 2 drones, each carrying a kilogram, 2.2 pounds of plastic explosive C4, which state television said is capable of causing effective damage over a 50-meter wide radius. Yeah, fairly accurate. If it's designed like a claymore in particular, that could be realistic, especially just cause damage. I mean, you put shrapnel in that, shape charge it like a claymore, directionalize it off the bottom of a drone. Yeah, I don't know why they weren't successful. One drone flew over the tribune where Maduro was giving a speech, but it became disoriented by signal inhibiting equipment. They got frequency jammers even in Venezuela. Who knew? I guess the drone pilots didn't know. And was thus activated outside the assassin's planned perimeter. So they have some sort of VHF signal jamming going on, disoriented the equipment, and caused it to detonate prematurely. No wonder they weren't successful. Second drone lost control and crashed into a nearby building here, they stated here. No drones could be seen in the television broadcast, so it was all live at the time, it looks like. Showed bodyguards jumping in front of Maduro to protect him with flexible ballistic shields. The broadcast was quickly cut. So Maduro immediately blamed Colombia for this. Colombia calls it absurd. Maduro also pointed fingers to the financial backers who, quote, live in the United States, in the state of Florida. I hope that President Donald Trump is ready to fight these terrorist groups. So expatriates probably of some sort from Venezuela who have fled the country, potentially. Who knows? So he didn't point the finger at the United States government itself, but people who live here who financially back the situation. So also, police source says that the drones may have been released from a nearby apartment that suffered a fire after one exploded. However, other accounts blame the fire on the accidental explosion of a gas cylinder. What's a good way to cover your tracks if you're launching drones from a situation location and you want to cover your tracks? Burning down the location would kind of help you, except draw attention to that exact point. But I guess if you're trying to escape and evade, fire's one way to cover that up. Also, article from AP itself to see if it has any different accusations. Both links are in the description box below. So investigators continued searching the blackened apartment near the site while also seizing vehicles and raiding more than one hotel where they had found film evidence. So on-site security cameras, I would imagine. All right, so that is in your description box. I don't see anything significantly different in this article. So we got people chatting it up in the chat room that I can't keep up with. Holy cow. Are we still live? People got the circle of death. People are lagging, and I'm showing 5x5 on my end. What is up with that? Everyone's blaming everyone else, right? Yeah, we're not starting over, Wes. Links are in the description box. Oh, you guys all had to refresh, though? That's kind of interesting. I've noticed there's been a lot of glitches, it seems like, in YouTube this last whole week. There were problems with uploads, problem with streams. I think there's been an over YouTube-wide issue with some of the streaming capabilities and what comes through and feedback and whatnot. Yeah, the NSA is always watching. We've got, let's see, where was I at? Okay. All right, that should all be good. All right. Well, you guys can hear and everything. It's all good. Anybody new joining the stream, just refresh if you have issues, I guess would be the word. So that's the situation of Venezuela as they continue to devolve. I guess that front picture is the picture of the smoked out, burnout apartment where they suspect the drones may have been launched from. So go team, right? So what else could potentially be going on? Our other collapsing favorite country in the world, South Africa. They've more statements about the just cause of land misappropriation. Oh, I'm sorry, appropriation without compensation. I think that's how they term it. So this is out of the UK article that South Africa on the brink of anarchy as president demands white farmers' land is seized. So he's made a lot of statements, obviously inflammatory, calling people murderers and stuff just because they live on the land that's been handed down from him. And we've covered that well in depth about that whole history, quite a bit about the Boers and everything, and the insanity of this policy. But recently announced plans to allow white people's land to be taken without compensation in a move he believes will be good for the economy. Right. Farmers claim that the plan will be catastrophic and could lead to anarchy and food shortages. That's probably more likely. Seems like that the UK article is trying to catch up everybody in the UK of where everything's at, because they're going into a lot of the background that we're well aware of. Yada yada. A lot of statements about people talking about how bad the policy could be. History teaches us that international investors, regardless of what AFRIFORM or anyone else says, are unwilling to invest in a country where property rights are not protected. Indeed. That would almost be common sense, you would think. There are places where police simply refuse to act. They don't know the law well enough, or refuse to apply it to logical reasoning when it comes to defending people's property rights. Well, plus probably they're getting bribed, or they're getting told to look the other way, or they're going to take out somebody's family. There's all kinds of intimidation tactics that these roving gangs could use. You could imagine if they're willing to go into these farms and do this to people, they're probably telling the police to look the other way, one way or the other. Some investors think Ramaphosa may be simply trying to win political points with the land reform ahead of an election year, which is next year. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good. I don't know if that would work out very well for him. Obviously, there's been a lot of kickback that we've covered. If he's just trying to do this for political points, knowing that thinking that it won't go anywhere, because he has riled up his people. The red beret wearing people are ready to burn places down from the rallies that I've seen in the quotes and everything that we've talked about. People are ready to move forward with this. If they back off of it, he won't get elected. Hey, Barry Woods joined us. Good morning, Barry. How's it going? The general manager of Agriculture Union of South Africa, Benny Van Zyl, quoted, "For us, this is a pity that they've made their choice, because no one will invest in this economy, and we actually need growth to address the realities of South Africa. So we have great concern for this approach. A lot of foreign countries have already contacted us as an organization, say if that is the case, we are not willing to invest in your country anymore. And if the ANC goes through with this, it will be devastating to this country." Yeah, I think that's an understatement. So a slightly not in-depth article out of the UK, but he did make some of those statements over the weekend and had another rally and stuff where they're just continuing to burn it down. They're willing to burn it down to get what they want. Well, to gain power is really the ultimate goal, because it's not like they're going to get a whole lot. Unproductive and barren farmland is not going to help anybody in the long run, and that's what they're going to get if they continue with this policy. That's been well documented in several investigative journalist documentaries that are out there. Wes is wondering if it's a testing ground for future attempts at relocations in another country, a bit closer to Canada. Well, it's a standard communist principle. I mean, government seizure of land is a communist principle, so they're just following that line. It's going to be applied anywhere communists get into place. And if somebody asks for that, I would call them a communist too. So that is what it is. So obviously lots of stuff going out there today. I guess Alex Jones got dropped off of Apple iTunes. All his past episodes, I guess you can download or used to could download, all got removed. So the tech censorship or online censorship of pretty much everybody continues. Not surprising terribly, but that's why we hang out here together. But we'll wrap it up and close out a little bit early with our feel-good story of the day. Armed bystander at a Florida school back-to-school event took down a gunman, I guess. And the video is not loading, it looks like. There we go. We'll bring that up in a second. We'll go through this before we play the video. Armed bystander shot a man who opened fire on a back-to-school event at Titusville Park after a fistfight. People just started arguing and couldn't handle it. The shooting occurred at Isaac Campbell shortly after 2:50 p.m. That'd be East Coast time last night. Is that right? Last night? Yeah. Who has a back-to-school event on a Sunday night? When the shooter, who police have not identified, returned to the park after a fistfight and began firing. So it's the old story of getting in a fight, going back and getting your gun and coming back. He must have been really perturbed. A bystander who was licensed to carry a firearm shot the gunman. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, police said. I'm assuming he's talking about the gunman who got shot. Nobody else. Doesn't sound like anybody else got shot. Am I right? Which is good. That's a feel-good story, right? Good guy with gun. The bystander who shot the man waited for officers and was cooperative with the investigation. Well, you would think so. Depending on how their local jurisdiction runs it, hopefully he was treated with a little bit of respect and told to go home until the DA reviewed the incident. But sometimes they'll lock them up and seize their firearm and everything else because it's protocol. So the back-to-school event was called Peace in the City. Was going on at the park at the time of the shooting. So it doesn't look like it was a school. It wasn't school district sponsored. It looks like it was a community event. It wasn't like the school district organized it or whatever. It's kind of like a community get before school thing. So that's interesting. It was being streamed live on his Facebook when the shooting occurred. We'll see if here it looks like this is going to be the raw video of that. So let's see if we can get this up. This might be interesting. At least 12 shots rang out.
Save on glasses for glasses at iMart Express.
I don't want to save. Got the ad run there.
Come to iMart Express.
Well, it's like anything. It's going to go quick and loud. The cameraman didn't even orientate it. Looked like towards where the shooting was coming from. Very caught off guard, I'm sure. And everybody had no choice but to run. But I wonder if those fast succession of shots was the bystander shooting the gunman. I wonder if that's what the situation was. Or because if that guy got off those 12 shots like that and nobody else was shot, like, they're definitely fortunate. Detectives say they do not expect to file charges against the bystander since his actions were within the law. Well, you would think so, pending a preliminary investigation. So it still only states one male victim airlifted to the hospital. And that was updated this morning. updated, this morning. So let's see what the newscast said. You can get your Hertz rent-a-car later.
We're here to get you there.
Panic tonight at a park in Titusville when an event promoting peace was interrupted by gunfire. A DJ at the event catching the violence on social media that sent children and their families running for their lives.
These kids in the path of those bullets.
And that man tells us it was chaos after those shots were fired. Good evening, I'm Lynn Keys. This all started around 5:30 tonight at Isaac Campbell Park on South Street. Channel 9 Steve Barrett is live at the scene where he's been gathering details. Steve, what do you know right now?
Well, we learned just a little over an hour ago something we'd been hearing all night, that this started with a fight. One of the people in that fight came back to this park and opened fire in this parking lot right behind me. That's when a bystander who had a legal weapon pulled out his gun and shot that man in the head. So the only injury right now is the actual gunman who showed up here at the park. And of course, this was supposed to be a peace rally. The father of the organizer and the DJ at the Peace in the City event captured video about 8 minutes into his Facebook live stream. Minutes before the shooting, you can see the number of people, about 200, many children, enjoying the day at Isaac Campbell Park. Then chaos erupts.
We had a lot of kids under the pavilion and kids coming from out of the bounce houses when the shooting occurred. So it was kids in the path of those bullets. But thank God none of the kids got hit.
It took a moment to sink in as parents and children scrambled for safety. A peaceful day turned deadly and terrifying for the kids.
When I turned around, I thought it was firecrackers, and I was like, who like firecrackers out here? Then I seen one of the guys with the pistol, and he was busting at the other dude, and I'm like, they shooting.
Scary for the kids?
Yeah, the kids was terrified. So my two kids was like, Daddy, let's go, let's go, let's go.
And back here live, this is actually the flyer for the Peace in the City rally. You see here, it says enough is enough, stop the violence over here. A day of fun, no violence. Clearly, it did not turn out that way. Here's what we know right now about the shooter. He is right now in the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Meanwhile, the man who shot him is cooperating with police, and it doesn't look like at this point there will be any charges against him. Reporting live in Titus.
All right, so that's your feel-good story for the day. Key takeaway: shoot him in the head. That's good shooting on their part. If it was a one-shot deal, you would think it probably took more than one shot, but it's hard to. That story probably won't come out for a while in the police report or something. But we'll see how that shakes out. But good ending there. And nobody else was hurt, so you can't complain. So I think the side chat had a good chat. Wes S has checked out on us. Wes S is tired of cameramen people running for their lives just because of... All right, Wes, you have a good day. Yeah, right, Backwoods. It's not. I don't know if he took the headshot first. That's hard to say. But just getting that shot off in the end is definitely the end result you want. So I'm not sure if he took any other shots, like you're saying, double tap and then you go to the head. It's hard to say, but it depended on his experience level and who it was. Has a lot to do with that. How far he was away. I mean, he was close enough to where the guy looked at the initial shooter and saw both of them in the same frame. So the guy that was recounting it could see them both. So they had to be relatively close, even easily within pistol shooting range distance. He figured within 25 meters of each other, no problem. Probably closer than that. And then, like you're saying, taking the headshot But hey, good for him. That was a good on him. Makes me want to go to the pistol range. All right, everybody, we're going to check out. Thanks for joining us. Hope everybody has a good start to your week. Good Monday. We'll be checking back in with you out here on the interwebs whenever we see you. Otherwise, we'll see you back here Wednesday morning. All right, have a good one. Live free.